I just look at this series, and I don't necessarily believe, I'm not one of those that thinks stuff off the field carries onto the field, and I would hope in the Mets' case it doesn't for what happened yesterday. But for them, for the Yankees, again, I think they'll be fine. You can't get swept this weekend in 5 games, nor will they. But I think for the Mets, they need to get out to a decent start tonight. They've got 2 games here, and anything less than a split's a big problem because I could see it spiraling out of control very quickly for them. And then you're looking at, and what month are we in? We'd be looking at a September of nothing. Now, you'll still play for something because 8 teams from each league will make the playoffs. But at that point, what really are you? Rick Porcello's been bad. Michael Wacha has barely pitched. Noah Syndergaard's gone. Marcus Stroman left. Yoenis Cespedes packed up and left. It's just a strange team.
The question that I would have, given the fact that how emotional Dominic Smith was 2 days ago and how emotional he was yesterday, just from a pure team-wide spirit kind of feeling, is this going to bring this team together? Regardless of what the GM and the owner and what ownership is doing, does this bring this team together in some way, shape, or form? And I hope it does. I hope it does for their sake, and I hope it does have a profound effect on them on the field. And hopefully they've become closer together. Hopefully they've learned a little bit more about each other. But Dom was already popular in that locker room anyway.
Yeah.
But I think maybe even more so now as the team is rallying around him, as he seems to be the lone black player that is kind of the example that is being set. So, I would just say that maybe this will be an interesting, good thing for the Mets on the field.
And on that note, I hope a kid like Dominic Smith goes on a tear because the one thing that stood out, a lot stood out, but in terms of baseball, the one thing that stood out when he was speaking the other night was how the game is his safe haven. And when he's on the field, he blocks everything else out, and he feels very comfortable, and he's on the field, and he's doing what he needs to do. And no better time right now for him to go out and just tear it up. And he certainly has the capability to do that, and that could help this team get on a run because as we talk about, they need it in some way, shape, or form. If you look at a lot of teams in baseball, and I know there are teams that are having, really good starts to the season or good first halves. We've mentioned the Dodgers and the Padres. The White Sox have been outstanding. So, the Mets are one of few teams, I think, that really are yet to put together any sort of winning streak. And I don't mean 3 games. Is 3 games their high mark for the year? Probably is.
Yes.
This is a team that's looking for, I'm not talking about 10, 11 games in a row, but they need to string together 5 in a row, 7 of 8, 8 of 9, for you to actually start to believe in them. The Yankees have done it already, and we know the Yankees are capable of it, and the Yankees will do it again. We haven't seen the Mets do that yet this year, and part of that's been the pitching. Just the other night with Porcello, you see, he puts him in a hole in the second inning before he can even breathe. They need to do that and prove that they can, and I'm not sure that they're capable of it right now. I'm just not.
What I want to see is I want to see an 8-2 run over a 10-game span.
Exactly my point.
Right, and the other thing too is that the Yankees are not coming to town or in town with Judge, Stanton, Torres. If there's ever a time to beat the Yankees, now is the time to do so, especially when you're not going to be facing Cole. The rest of their pitchers haven't been great. They've been okay. I would also say that you want to do exactly what Atlanta just did, and you just want to jump all over them early in these games. So
Atlanta pitched really well, though.
I know they did. I know.
That was part of it.
But again, the Yankees lineup is not what the Yankees lineup was in Week 1.
Very true, although LeMahieu likely back this weekend, which does help them. You're right, it's a different team. But here's the thing about that, too. We've lauded them for a year and a half about next man up, everybody produces. I'm not going to sit here and all of a sudden say, well, they don't have their big guns. They have been damn good for a really long time. And whether it's Ford, whether it's Tauchman, whoever it's been, these guys have come up and produced. And if you shut down this lineup, you know what? You deserve it. You earned it because there's nothing easy about this lineup, even with the big guys out. Because the secondary guys, Luke Voit. Luke Voigt's turned into a household name. We didn't know who the hell he was 18 months ago. And think of, right or wrong, though, he's been that good. He's still a home run threat every time he steps to the plate. Aaron Hicks is still a damn good player. Brett Gardner, aging, still a good player. This team is not a bad, and they get LeMahieu back. To me, it means something. So, and Gary Sanchez is still Gary Sanchez. The problem is you don't know which Gary Sanchez you're getting from pitch to pitch, let alone game to game.
You know what's interesting is the financial aspect of sports right now, and what does the future hold? And like, if you're a player and you're looking for a contract extension, and your name's not Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott, like what money is available? How much money is going to be available? I think that's probably part of the discussion that was had with the NBA players about trying to finish the season and crown a champion and use that platform for whatever voice you want to put out there. Because there are no fans and because we are going to have the start of next year's season at the end of this year, literally 3 months from now.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm like, I know the NHL has extended its CBA, and that CBA means that the salary cap is flat for the next 4 years, $81.5 million. So that means, like, if you are a free agent to be or somebody that's looking for a major contract extension, teams are going to have to be really smart about how they are paying people. The same thing can be said for like a guy like Cam Hayward in Pittsburgh, one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL, and he'd love to have a contract extension, and he wants one right now. And they're out there talking in Pittsburgh as if, like, wait a minute, we don't really know what the financial future is, given the fact that we can't have any fans at these games. I mean, we still have so many questions that need to be answered in so many ways, on top of the Mets possibly, not possibly, but being sold, in the midst of being sold, and how much money that they are going to garner at the worst time to probably sell a franchise.
And you remember, if we go back about, I would say a couple months ago, this was the conversation I was having too, when earlier in the year, the Mets were being valued at a specific number, and, people and fans would say, well, they're worth this, they should be spending that. And my point was, yeah, but circumstances change, and maybe the team's not worth what it once was. And we're seeing that right in front of our eyes. At one point, we were looking at a number for the Mets, I want to say $2.6, $2.7 billion, I think.
For 80%.
And now,
for 80% of the team.
Right, for 80% of the team. Whereas now, from what I'm reading, it looks like $2 billion. Now, I understand. We're talking about rich people getting richer. That's a difference of $600 million, though, that has vanished from what they thought they might get just a few months ago because of whatever the circumstances are, no fans, TV contracts, limited schedule, whatever. Things changed in a matter of 8, 9, 10 weeks to the tune of $500 million.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.